Hi, I'm Greg Denning. I've had an opportunity to live in several different countries, in a lot of different places, and among a lot of wonderful people. I've had a chance to live in multi-million dollar homes, in beautiful neighborhoods, and in incredible places around very wealthy people. I also grew up in a broken home and was out on the streets at a young age and lived among the poorest of the poor in the United States. And then as I traveled abroad and lived in other countries, I've been in and around and worked with people who have literally almost nothing and all in between. And what I've observed is that a lot of people, perhaps most, are dealing with a lot of turmoil and anxiety and fear and frustration. And they just are experiencing most of the time something that they wouldn't say, hey man, whoa, that was so wonderful. It was so pleasant. That was a great part of life. Instead, they're just kind of numb, just kind of hurting. I've often asked people, hey, what's your predominant feeling? What do you feel most of the time? If you were to take a pie chart and just divide it up in feelings, what's a big old chunk of the pie, right? What do you feel most of the time? And more often than not, people are saying, well, if I'm honest, I just feel frustrated. I'm bothered by this or that or this person or that person. Oh, the government or taxes or my boss or my neighbor or the dishes or the baseboards. And they realize, wait a minute, I'm not really happy most of the time. So I want to make a challenge to you. Happiness really is a choice. Sincerely, circumstances can affect us, but happiness is a choice. We get to choose. That's the one thing we get to choose. Right? People don't make you mad. You don't lose your temper. Right? Other things can't force you to feel something. If that were true, then everyone would feel the same thing according to one stimuli. And it's not true. You have the power to choose happiness and peace. And yet, too often, we give that up. We sacrifice it. We exchange good feelings, right? And excitement, enthusiasm. What you really want to feel, you want to feel alive, right? You want to wake up and say, yeah, it's another fantastic day to be alive. You want energy. You want joy. But we trade that because we get some rules set up in our heads. Well, if everything isn't just like I think, if people don't treat me just like this, if I get in traffic today and someone cuts me up, well, there goes my day, and we hand it over. So I want you to do two things. One, decide right now what it is you want your predominant emotion, your major feeling to be for the rest of your life. Seriously, I know that sounds crazy. You have the power to make that decision right now. And this isn't one of those decisions like, hey, what color should I paint the wall? Or what kind of car should I buy? That's not one of those decisions. This is one of those decisions that transforms you, that alters the course of your life. That's kind of decision. I want you to decide today what kind of person you're going to become, what kind of feelings you're going to have. The second part is sustaining that, right? Longevity, consistency. I want you to put up reminders. I want you to tell people and ask them to help you remember that. I want you to write it down. I want reminders in your car, on your mirror, on your fridge. I want reminders on your computer screen. Put a big ol' humming smiley face. Do whatever you can. Identify the things that bother you most. Whatever, maybe your husband or your wife does something, or a coworker, or maybe your children leave stuff out, and you find that you're just frustrated all the time just because your kids leave things around, right? Which kids do. And if I hand over my good feelings and the peace in my home, and I end up frustrated and always nagging my kids, And then they remember me as the naggy dad, and I remember all those years as just frustrating because the house was always cluttered. How sad! How sad to sacrifice all that could be so great because I choose to get frustrated at little things. I can disagree without being disagreeable. I can not like that without becoming bitter or bothered. See, inside I can still just be happy and jovial and just feel fantastic and still hold a standard and have expectations and have requirements of how I allow people to treat me, right? Because people treat you the way you train them to treat you, the way you allow them to treat you. You can set that standard and still maintain emotional control. So do those things for me. Identify what bothers you and make up somewhere, say, hey, I'm not going to be bothered by it anymore. Make it clear. Decide today a real deep resolution, transformation level resolution of how you're going to feel, and then set up reminders. Tell everybody, make a decision to become better, to be happier. Life is so sweet and so good. You don't fake it. Don't put on a show. You're not in the pageantry. We're not saying who can wear the greatest smile in front of their depression. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real change from the inside out. And then the outside will manifest what's on the inside. It all begins right here. This is where we're changing, and this is where we're changing. We're changing our thoughts. We're literally transforming our endophagia and our feelings, and that's going to manifest itself. And life will be so much better. Circumstances will be better. Relationships will be better. People will treat you differently and better because of who you're becoming. Right? This will literally change your life. I promise. Reach upward. Be happy. Have a fantastic life.